What is true freedom? We want to experience freedom, freedom of mind, not to worry, to be calm, and to be serene. What is true freedom? Seems like we're always surrounded by thoughts, and thoughts we don't control, thoughts that come and go, thoughts that seem to be constantly negative without us even trying. Yet we want freedom. We want that feeling of a true peace of mind, true serenity. How do we get it? How do we get it? We live in a world where freedom tells us it's all about doing whatever you want, saying whatever you want, to whomever you want. You have freedom of speech. You have a right. You deserve. You should know. You have a right to know. Um, and we get sucked into these types of ideals and patterns of thinking. However, true freedom is actually following a certain type of structure, a blueprint. The Jewish people have the Torah, and the Torah gives us that structure, that blueprint for life to navigate our lives successfully. Surprisingly enough, if you follow the Torah, if you follow the blueprint of the Torah, then you are actually living a true free life, a life of freedom, which is actually interesting because you have so many halachot, so many laws, so many ways that you are told to do things in this way, in the right way. How do you eat? How do you dress? How do you behave? What do you do first, then, next, and last? How do you think? And that's really a true way to be free, is to follow these halachot. This is for the Jewish people. Now, for those of us who are not Jewish, there's different people who listen. Those of us who are not Jewish, we have also restrictions, we have also laws. And these laws that we follow are going to actually set us free and have us living a true, meaningful, serene life. It's interesting. I had a situation at one point where I really needed a phone number to a certain person, and I didn't know how to get it. Now I met this person. I met her. Let's call her. Miriam. Let's call Miriam, and her name was not Miriam, but call her that. And I really wanted to see her because we wanted to arrange some kind of an event together. But we met at a certain event where it was Shabbat. I couldn't really use the phone to get her number. And many weeks later, I really tried to get her number and I couldn't. And I was thinking about her a lot, thinking who might know her to get her number. And I just didn't know. I actually met a few people who I thought knew it, and they didn't. But that being said, I really needed her number. So what happened was, after work, I was at a certain neighborhood and I wanted to get something to eat. And usually I know exactly where to go because I don't have so much time. And I had to rush. But this time I was actually thinking, like back and forth between like two places. It was either I'm having meat or dairy, and I really had to make that decision. But it took me time, surprisingly. And I decided to go with dairy. So I go into the dairy restaurant to get something to eat. And in comes Miriam with a few of her family members. She came to me in this neighborhood that we don't even live in. And she, it was just so interesting how if you want something, you're going to get it. If it's meant to be for you, you're going to get it. And of course, I got her number and we exchanged information and set out for the event. So I want to share with you ways in which you can access true freedom. We learn in Parsha Beshalach that only by mastering your thoughts will you experience true freedom in your life. It's written in this parsha. And on that day, the Almighty saved the Israelites from the hand of Egypt. It's interesting. The Or HaChaim comments, the sage comments, that the Jewish people did not feel free when they were told by the Egyptians, go, free, you're free to go. They still didn't feel free until they actually went to the sea and the sea split and they saw the Egyptians drown after them, right before their eyes. They passed the sea and the Egyptians followed them to get them back, and the Egyptians drowned. And that's when they felt true freedom, which is very interesting. When do we feel true freedom? When we can see it. You know, you send your child off to do an errand and you call him, let's say he's, 11 or 12, and you call him, are you okay? Did you cross the street okay? Did you go to the store? Let me know when you cross the street. And you just constantly worried, especially when the child first sets out to do these errands, these independent tasks. And we just want to make sure that he's okay. That's when we feel a true peace of mind, when we actually see finally the child came back safe and sound. Now, it's so important for us to know that true freedom and peace of mind is just knowing and believing. Knowing and believing and trusting. Not worrying and feeling anxiety and panic and feeling stress. So these are actually thoughts that provoke us to be negative and stressed. These are the thoughts. Unless a person feels truly free in their mind, their thought patterns, they could be in a place where they're told, you're free, do whatever you want, and they just won't feel free. They won't have true serenity. They won't have true peace of mind. And to be truly free, you must know that feeling free is totally up to you. It is your decision. You have a great deal of control over your thoughts if you work on it. If you worry about the future, even though the future events might work out exactly as you would have wished, you will suffer in the present, and your suffering is your worry. So why worry when the outcome is not in your hands anyway? And we all fall into this trap now and again, sometimes more often than not, especially during challenging times when we're thinking, what if, and if then, and what will happen if this doesn't happen. And yes, this is normal and natural. However, it's not helping us. It's not helping us grow. It's not helping us be positive. And our reactions and actions affect those around us, our families and our loved ones. And most importantly, it affects ourselves. Because if we are not that healthy foundation for ourselves, how can we move forward? You know, a person could have everything in life and still feel trapped, and still feel confused, and still feel as though they just can't do it. They just can't feel free. They're worried. They're anxious. I heard of a cute little story where a rich man, a secular man, a non-Jewish man, saw a Jew praying at the Kotel, praying at the Western Wall. And when he saw him pray, the man had, closed his eyes and was full of concentration to pray to Hashem. And later on, that man spoke to the Jewish man. He said, I'm so jealous of you. And the Jewish man said, why? You're so rich, you're wealthy. What do you have to worry about? He said, I worry that if I close my eyes even for a second, all my money will leave me. There's so many people out to get my money, out after my money. So I have sleepless nights that I'm just nervous. And these people truly aren't free. So it was a cute little story that I remember. At the end of the session of this video, I'm going to give you 3 practical tips on how to be free during our time. I wanted to share with you a story about a man who actually set an intention and it was carried out because he really, really wanted it. So when you want something, Bezrat Hashem, With God's help, it's going to happen. It's called a fireman's kadesh. It was told to Rabbi Nakar by Rav Goel El Karif. Found in the book 102 Stories That Changed People's Lives. Rav Janach, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, was the Rav of Givat Olga in Hadera. Now he was the Rav in the community, and he wanted to get everybody closer together, all the community members. So he decided right before Passover to get everyone together in a hotel. It was called the Park Hotel, and to get everybody together for a Shabbat. This way, people don't have to worry about, eating for Shabbat at home again, and then we have to clean up all the breadcrumbs, all the chametz, right? So he decided, why don't I have everyone get together at a Park Hotel? And everybody in the community was very excited, very, very happy to get together. And soon after, everybody got together. It was Shabbat. It was time for singing and bringing in Shabbat. It's called Kabbalat Shabbat. And the rabbi is congregating with everyone. He noticed there are not enough chairs around the tables, and the tables were already lit with candles. The candles were not allowed to be lit in people's rooms. We light Shabbat candles. They were supposed to be lit in the lobby. So they were lit on a few tables, and the rabbi motioned for some helpers to bring in more chairs. So more chairs can be given and dispersed around the table. And what happened was, one of the workers brought in some chairs, and the leg of the chair got stuck on one of the tablecloths, and automatically a fire ignited on the table. It was very quick. The fire department was called, and thank God it wasn't a big fire. They extinguished it soon after. Everybody was healthy and safe. Thank God. And one of the firemen approached somebody, and he said, "Can I ask where you folks are praying for this Shabbat?" And the guest was delighted to say, "Yes, we're praying in the shul, in the synagogue. There's a section here." And he said, is it okay if I join the minyan and pray with everyone? A minyan of 10 men at least. And the guest says, "We're honored. Of course you can." Very excited, very appreciative that this was one of the firemen that actually saved them. And he said, "Yes, of course." And soon after, that fireman took his place in the back of the room, and he started praying with so much emotion, so much intention, and tears were streaming down his cheeks. And the rabbi noticed that he was just praying with so much intensity, and he approached him soon after, and he said, "Today's Shabbat. Is everything okay?" And this is what he said. He said, "I'm a traditional Jew, Rabbi, but I don't usually go to shul. This week, however, is my father's yahrzeit. I had wanted to say Kaddish, but since I was on duty tonight, and there is no minyan at the station, I didn't think it would be possible. I actually arranged a substitute to fill in for me so I could go to shul. But at the last minute, the buddy canceled on me. I entered the station tonight feeling downcast, and I whispered to God, 'God, I so badly want to say Kaddish for Abba. Never in my life have I missed a Kaddish, but now I'm duty-bound to remain at the station. What can I do?' And then I received the dispatch to the Park Hotel and jumped right into the truck to put out the flames. When it was all over, I suddenly noticed your whole group of religious folks standing outside on the street. Way more than a minyan. I asked my buddies in the truck if they could wait a few minutes while I prayed, and they told me no problem." With a smile, the firefighter said, "How wondrous are God's ways. He brought your entire group all the way from Hadera and orchestrated this fire on Shabbos, so I, who so rarely prays in a Bet Knesset, in a synagogue, would be able to say Kaddish for my father. You see how valuable every single Kaddish is to him." Several weeks later, a familiar face came into the rabbi's shul, and it was none other than the fireman himself. And of course, he embraced him in a big bear hug, was really happy to see him. He said, "Rabbi, you're not going to believe this. I have to tell you about the miracle that saved your whole congregation." He said an Arab kitchen worker in the Park Hotel had collaborated with a terrorist group to carry out an attack in the hotel on the night of Shabbos Hagadol. The terrorists who had already departed from a certain place named Janin with their weapons and were only minutes away from the hotel when the fire broke out and the street was suddenly flooded with police and the fire department and the medical workers. So from here we see that from one desire of a simple Jew, even a Jew who's not so observant, all he did was want. He had good intentions. He only wanted to make Hashem happy, to make his father happy, to say kadesh, a prayer that you say when someone dies, a family member, somebody close who passed away, and you want to engage in that prayer. All he wanted was to say that prayer. And you know what? Hashem made it happen. So his thoughts were full of worry, were full of anxiety, but his intentions were pure, and he wanted to do it. And he did it. And he did it. Remember, all you have to do is want, and Hashem is willing to overturn all circumstances in your favor. When you want something to happen, it will happen. For one genuine prayer, will, and Jew, Hashem is willing to overturn everything to make it happen. And now I'm going to give you 3 practical tips on how to limit your anxiety and worry and negative thoughts, and instead flood yourself with happiness, serenity, and positive thoughts. These are tips given by Rebbetzin Esther Baylor Schwartz. Number 1, stop listening to the news completely. Just stop, or really, really limit yourself. The news is nothing but something that has been screened, reviewed, and decided by somebody else who wants you to listen to this in order for you to believe certain things that are not necessarily true. It usually gives us anxiety, worry, makes us depressed and sad and scared for our lives, what will be, scared for our future. A person can't live like that and do the best that they can in this world. They just can't. They're going to be negative. They're going to be sad. They will not have a bounce in their step. They will not have a zest for life. They will not be upbeat. So we don't want to bring news into our lives, the news that is given every day just to fill us with negativity and despair. That's tip number 1. Number 2, learn Torah consistently. These being and becoming videos are definitely a way to learn consistently. Am I promoting myself? Maybe I am a little bit, but these videos definitely help me learn every single week. I hope they can definitely benefit you and help you learn. But please learn in some way Torah. If you're reading from a book, if you're listening to a lecture, if you're part of a community that learns consistently, don't learn sometimes. Make it consistent. Your soul needs food, just like your body. So feed it consistently in order for it to be healthy and flourishing. And number 3, we know from our sages that when Mashiach will come, everything will be good. And we will see the whole picture of the world. We will see Hashem's master plan. He doesn't owe it to us. It's a free gift. We're going to see why our bitter times and our happy times were all for our own good. Our challenges, our difficult times are all for our own good. We may not see it now, and we're not supposed to. But when Mashiach comes, everything that we experience, it's all going to be obvious that it was for our good. We're going to see that. So even though we're going through tough times now, remember, at the end, it's all going to be good. It's all going to turn out for the best, for our good. So not to worry, to be calm, to be composed, and live your life fully, positively. Leah Abramov, Being and Becoming. Appreciate the insights of Growth Through Torah by Rebbe Zelik Pliskin. Be healthy, be safe, being and becoming. Again, Leah Abramov, awakening awareness of your greatness and potential.